needs of safety, security, connection? Are we nurturing the child, which is again a basic psychological need of the child? Are we giving autonomy to the child? Are we allowing the child to uh, decide what he or she wants? So when we are motivating the children, we also have to look into these basic psychological needs. If we reject, if a child faces rejection, for that matter, we also, if we face rejection, what will happen? There's a danger of um, the attitude of or the fear of admitting mistakes in getting strengthening over time. If there is some kind of fear of being rejected, if I make mistakes, I'll be rejected, I will not be supported in any way by the people around me. So I will start avoiding the mistakes. I will start avoiding taking the responsibility that yes, I'm wrong somewhere, or yes, this is not the way to achieve this particular thing. Maybe there is a skill which is required. Maybe there's a plan. If plan A hasn't worked, maybe some other strategy is required to achieve it. So I will not admit that. I would, deny taking responsibility, and I would blame others for my failures and my setbacks. And it's when my views are different from the others' views, then probably this scenario of rejection would lead to certain certain kind of scarring for the person. There is something called common knowledge effect. When a child or when any individual comes up with a new idea or a new point of view which is completely different from what the general people have, what the other people have done it till now, what is a you know um, generally accepted way of doing things. So if some innovative idea has come up, if some creative strategy has come up, there is a tendency of ignoring or rejecting that, because of the common knowledge effect, that this is how it is done, so one has to do it this way only, other things won't work. So rejection leads to all this. On the other hand, if we accept, if we show acceptance, and the person involved or striving towards certain goals would comfortably admit the mistakes and would try to learn from the failures. And I think it would not be wrong to say that failures can teach us um, a lot than the success. So learning from the failures, we would understand that what doesn't work. We would understand that which ability or which skill we need to upgrade. So learning from failure, it is a kind of it's an opportunity that we are providing to the child or to anybody, if we are providing acceptance to the person. And in this kind of environment, everybody will be sharing their ideas and opinions without any fear of being rejected. So there would be better decision making, there would be better and innovative ideas coming up. So the outcome would definitely be, it may not be the outcome which we expected, but it will definitely be something better and new also. If we talk about adolescence, uh, exploration or trying new things is very, very important. It's a theory given by James Marcia. It says that, see, in every stage there are certain developmental tasks. So in adolescent stage, identity formation is a very, very important developmental task. So the teenagers who are not able to discover their identity or achieve this identity in this stage, it the impact goes a long way. So we, as the adults, as the parents, as the teacher, as the system as a whole, we need to provide opportunity to the teenager for exploration. We say it's a crisis, but actually crisis in psychology, crisis is good. because unless we are faced with certain crises, we would not explore. So um, there are four status, you can say, of this identity in adolescence. The first status is, I'll start from the fourth one, the identity diffusion. If a teenager, if an adolescent doesn't explore, so the exploration is less, and the adolescence has committed too early, committed to any career decision, committed to any set of beliefs. Like the father is doctor, so the child also decides that okay, I also want to decide be a doctor, and I would, and the child opts for the subject without finding out, without exploring what his or her interests are. There is a family business, and because of the parental pressure or the family's pressure, the child decides, okay, let me take join the family business without doing exploration about the own strengths, own qualities, own interest and inclination. So that would be identity diffusion, and this is not a happy place to be. In fact, in long run, you must have seen and seen people who are doing their jobs 9 to 5, but they are always unhappy, and they would often complain and crib about everything around. So it is because of identity diffusion. Um, and sorry, I think identity, I was talking about identity foreclosure, but I was saying identity diffusion. Kindly excuse my mistake. Identity diffusion is, we have not done exploration at all, and we have not committed also to anything. That is identity diffusion. So the child doesn't know what the strengths are, what the weaknesses are, and how he wants to take up his life further. That is identity diffusion, and so there is no growth possible there. In identity foreclosure, the decisions are without any exploration or very little exploration done, and the commitment is done too early. That is identity foreclosure. Identity moratorium is a very, very good place to be. In fact, not just a teenager, we as adults also should try to be in that identity status for as long as possible. So this involves high exploration and low commitment. That is, we took up one activity, we mastered it, that is, we achieved it, we mastered it, and we did not stop there. We decided, let me do or try or learn the other skill also. So this is how the exploration continues, but it doesn't stop. In We don't leave that thing in between. We are not committing to anything. That means we are trying this also, we are trying this also, we are trying this also, after achieving or learning what we are trying to achieve. So if there is a the cycle should be between identity moratorium and identity achievement. So that's the happy that's the perfect way to upgrade ourselves. Shall I move to the other slide? Are you all with me?
Okay, go ahead.
I don't seem to be okay. Now, since I'm a school counselor, I would like to talk about the new education policy also here, because I think it's a very, very, it's a vision. And if we see the fundamental principles, and if I try to summarize it, it is actually trying to cultivate the culture of accepting failures. We aim, the national education policy aims that the children that we are dealing with should become the global citizens. So we are not just trying to make them aware about their responsibility locally, or in a state or in a country. What is their position as a citizen globally? How their acts, what are their roles and responsibilities as global citizens? So, and there is a provision of 360-degree assessment. Till now, we were the children were assessed by the teachers, But now the provision is about evaluating the child's progress. Not just not only the teachers will do it, the parents will also be involved in this. They will properly give grades or whatever remarks or narratives about the child's activity. Even the peer group is involved. So a 360-degree assessment will be involved. So if we just focus on the outcome, this assessment is not possible. We need to see the activities throughout. What kind of effort the child is making? Is there any change in the child's attitude towards those activities or the curriculum? Then holistic and multidisciplinary education. This also is very important, and this just can't happen if we uh, do not allow children to commit mistakes. So we have to develop a culture of accepting the failures. We have to allow them to commit mistakes so that every aspect of education, every aspect of child's personality gets developed through using different kind of so the approach should be integrated, the multidisciplinary approach should be involved. We also talk about optimal learning environment and equity and inclusion. So the resources should be distributed equitably. We try to include all the status of society. We try to include the people from all the capacities, that even the children who are um, children with special needs are also included. So the classroom should be like a reflection of the society. So we cannot assume, we cannot expect a child who's studying in a school to understand everything what is happening in the society unless the classroom is a reflection of the society. So that is what the NEP is trying to envision. The technology is the future. So integrating technology use and is a very important aspect of NEP. And the knowledge that we have till now about the child psychology, how children learn, and how children how we can bring about change in their behavior. That's what education aims at. We do not have to rely upon the knowledge we have till now about all this. We also talk about the academic research. So we would want our children also to research. So it would definitely encourage creativity. It will definitely incorporate innovative practices. So this is again a reflection of accepting. When you are trying to innovate something, there are chances that we may succeed, we may fail. So I think this is again moving towards nurturing the culture of accepting failures, and it is not an easy task. We require motivated, energized, and capable faculty. So faculty development, faculty training is also a very important aspect of NEP. So there are five skills involved here. I would want to ask a question to all of you. Who requires all these dependability skills? If we talk about the education system, who should be detail oriented, who should be adaptable, who should be efficient, and who should be innovative and enthusiastic? It's a question to all of you. Kindly, I would request, please give your inputs. Sunanda ma'am, Jyoti ma'am.
Both for teacher and the student.
Yes.
Both of them require
Teachers
all these five.
also, yes, you are very right, sir. Teachers also should be dependable. The student should also have these dependability skills, and the parents should also have these dependability skills. So, we all have to be detail oriented. We all have to be adaptable. If one thing doesn't work, we should have the flexibility to, innovate and try out new things. And we have to be enthusiastic in this process. We have to increase our efficiency. So we all have to, all the stakeholders in this process should and should work towards developing the dependability skills. And we also want our children, and in fact nothing is important than autonomous motivation. I want to ask one question here, that if suppose I I have to cook in the house, so it is my need to learn cooking. But if I want to do skydiving, what is the motivation here? Is it possible to motivate somebody to do such dangerous things or such completely different out of the box things?
Repeat the question.
My question is, suppose I want to do skydiving.
Hmm.
So, how will you motivate me to do this? Is it possible for anybody to motivate somebody to do dangerous things easily
I don't think so.
without any motive?
I doubt whether somebody can motivate you to do dangerous things.
It is. It is. It is next to impossible, I feel, unless I have the motivation, the intrinsic motivation to do it. So here, autonomy is required. I should have the free will. I should have the determination to think of taking such decision, and I should participate actively in that. Then I should have the competence. I should be able to develop certain skills to do and take up those activities. And I have to find out how it is helping me in my real life, how it is done in the real life, how I am able to relate to it. So this is autonomous motivation. So when we are trying to strive towards success, when we are trying to achieve goals which maybe which we have only decided, the autonomous motivation is also very, very important. So we want our children, we want our youth, we want everybody to have that intrinsic motivation. So for that, till now, whatever I've discussed, this basic psychological needs should be met some way, and the ego identity should be the level of self awareness of how this is rewarding me and how my ego is operating in this is very important. That kind of awareness is very important here. We should have a mindset. If we want to develop the culture of accepting failures, we have to actually nurture a kind of mindset which does that. That is, what is mindset? Mindset is nothing but a set of assumptions, the methods, the notions. It is an interpretative process. If whatever happens to us doesn't have a meaning at all, unless we assign a interpretation and a interpretation of the event or the whatever is happening to us, how we take it, how we interpret that situation. So that is also a mindset, and that is very important. If it is negative, it is making us stuck somewhere, it is not going to lead us to grow personally, or it is not going to lead us to learn something. But how it actually gets developed, it is because of, it arises from a person's worldview or the philosophy of life. I'll take it up in the next slide. How mindset shapes behavior. It is created by experience. The last point in the previous slide says this, the philosophy of life. So, whatever kind of experience I have will lead to certain way of thinking. So, the habits of mind is nothing but the way of thinking. And ultimately, if I do it continuously in one particular pattern, it will lead to formation of certain beliefs. And this belief system will guide my thought process. And this will guide the goals I take up, I set, the plans that I make, and this will affect my behavior. So my behavior will ultimately shape my life, and the whole world of mine will be shaped because of, ultimately because of my mindset. So there are two types of mindset: fixed mindset and growth mindset. If a person who has got fixed mindset, the person will have a strong belief that intellect or abilities are what I already have. I cannot nurture it. I already have it. Either I have it or I don't have it. Whereas a person having growth mindset will have the belief that I can develop certain skills, certain talents, my intellect through practice and perseverance. So the effort, the kind of effort will also be determined by the type of mindset. The person who already has a fixed mindset saying that either I have this skill, either I have this talent or not, will not bother about making effort, or the efforts will seem as a wastage of time to that person, whereas the other person who already is believing that I can develop it through perseverance and practice will devote a lot of time and energy, even if it is difficult. That would not lead to, the person will take it as a setback, as an opportunity to learn, not as a opportunity, not as a setback and giving up then and there. So the people who have growth mindset, they look forward towards feedback, whereas the people who have fixed mindset, they do not want anybody's feedback, because they don't want to know what they have and how they can improve. So it is better to have growth mindset if you want to focus on learning, not not focusing on the achievements. I can get smarter. This is how I will think if I have a growth mindset. And when I'm thinking this way, if I have this kind of belief, my goal would be learning. So failures would provide me an opportunity to learn. And my efforts, I would spend more time working harder. And my efforts, if I face a setback, I would change my strategies and I make my efforts even stronger. My strategies will change, and I will. Have you seen any person doing an athlete doing long jump? How do they go about it? They move back. So people who have growth mindset, for them the failures, it is like a, a place from where they have to reflect and see how I can go further and ahead, how I can cross it, that obstacle, and this is how they achieve higher. Their achievements are higher because the mindset is driving their motivation. They have an internal motivation. You must have noticed that some people, they break their own records. They have achieved something very good, but they are not stopping there. They would work even harder to cross that benchmark because they have growth mindset. So how can we nurture the growth mindset as an individual? What can I do? I have to cultivate a sense of purpose if I want to nurture my mindset, the growth mindset. I have to find out if I'm doing something, what am I doing it for? I have to find a purpose in the activities, and as a whole, I want to. I should find a purpose for my life. So cultivate a sense of purpose. Be curious. Always be on a lookout. What can I learn? How can I improve myself? Always try to refresh your routine. Setting into one comfort zone, one stick routine will never lead to any change. It is said now that if we want to change our life, we need to change our routine. We need to make a change something today, so that there the changes can be seen as a whole in our, the impact is seen as a whole. And we have to get out of the binary trap of success. Either we succeed or we fail. This is a very old thought process. We need to move out of it. Value the process, not the end result. So the efforts that we make, the process itself, the journey itself is empowering. It is itself is an opportunity to learn. So whenever, um, so if we take an example of education system, if we are laying a lot of importance to grades and the marks, and not making not acknowledging the efforts the child is making, then the essence of the process of learning is lost. So we need to value the process, not just the end result. We need to see the setbacks as opportunity to learn. So this will build resilience. Learned optimism. Positivity doesn't come naturally because our brain works in survival mode. Its function is not to make us feel happy all the time. Its function is to keep us out of danger. Its function is to so it always works in survival mode. So if we want to be optimistic, if we want to take things in a positive manner, we need to learn it. So we need to cultivate learned optimism. We need to change the way we interpret the events happening to us. We need to celebrate growth with others. The people who have growth mindset, they are not jealous of others success. They would want to celebrate their growth. They would want to get inspired from others success and seek how what kind of efforts they have made, what was their journey towards achieving certain goals. What is the role of parents? We need to praise the efforts, as I mentioned earlier. We just see, we give remarks like, my child is very intelligent. So if a child commits a mistake or doesn't achieve what he or she is achieving till now, if we talk about academic performance, then the child would, uh, you know, maybe hesitate at some point of time in sharing those mistakes and sharing those not so good results. So we need to appreciate, we need to praise the effort the child is making. We need to provide opportunities for reflection. It's a very, very important thing. So as adults also, we should model reflecting upon or introspecting upon the things happening to us whenever we are involved, whenever we take up certain activity, whenever we did something wrong or we did fail somewhere. We need to reflect, and we need to discuss this with our children, so that children also learn what is the importance of reflection. We should narrate inspiring stories, how people succeed, like Thomas Alva Edison, how he succeeded after so many failures. Uh, so these kind of inspiring stories should be narrated to the children. We need to see the words that we speak, that also have a great impact on our mindset in the long run. So we need to practice certain phrases. I have an activity ahead about it, so we'll take it up in the following slides. As I mentioned again earlier, model growth mindset. As adults, if we want to nurture a growth mindset in children, we also should practice it, and we should model it, because children learn through vicarious learning. It's a slide here. There are two pictures here. I want your opinion. What the picture on the left side says, how you interpret the first picture and how you interpret the second picture. I want your involvement here. Yes, sir. Sunanda ma'am, Rao sir, Jyoti ma'am.
Yeah, the first one is either the success or failure, simple, right? When
Yes,
it comes to other thing, there are different steps to need to be, because it's success is not that easy. We may get obstacles, we are failures, and so many we do mistakes. We learn from our mistakes, right? So after crossing all these things, only we'll be reaching success. I think
yes,
every point, I think we need to check ourselves and we have to proceed. That's what I understood. Ultimately, we reach the success point. It's
yes,
not
yes.
that success, only success. If, if we are not successful, doesn't mean that we are failures.
Right.
The people
See,
generally name that, right? If I'm not successful, that means I don't have anything to do.
yes,
Yeah, that's what we are seeing nowadays. Huh? If I'm failed, if I don't get success, I'm a failure and I'm a loser. That's actually the statement people are saying
mm,
nowadays.
yes. So it's a journey, as I mentioned in the beginning. It's a
It's a
journey.
journey. Yes.
Reaching somewhere is a journey. Like we feed in the GPS system also, na, the destination. We must be very closer to the destination, not figuring out exactly where we have reached, but we have reached somewhere. So the road to success, but the first picture says either there is one road which leads to success and the other road leads to failure,
True.
which we need to. It's a fixed mindset sort of approach, but the other approach is about growth mindset. Whatever I'm doing, I'm reaching somewhere. It is leading to my growth. I have crossed the difficulties. I'm making mistakes, but I am able to overcome certain obstacles. I'm failing at times, but I will definitely reach and succeed in reaching somewhere. So it's a journey. If we persevere through all these, success is an outcome.
I feel that this first failure and success,
Yes, sir.
I'm
Yes, sir.
relating to your long jump. Go back, take few steps backward, and then take a move to jump. Therefore, failure is like taking a step back, running from that, and jumping. Something I'm related to your long jump story.
Yes. So we maybe we need to change the strategy. Maybe we need to change the plans. Maybe we need to figure out what kind of skills are required to achieve something or reach there.
Correct.
So that kind of interpretation is required. So the second picture you have very rightly said. So the second picture also depicts this.
Some people have raised their hands, ask them to raise their questions. Some
Okay.
3, 4 people
So
raise their
I'm
hands.
about to finish. We'll just
Okay,
finish
go
it
ahead.
first.
Go ahead.
What can failures teach us? There are so many things. I have just listed few things. We can continue adding into it. Emotional regulation, because it is very disappointing. It's not a happy situation. It is, if we are working towards certain goals and if we face setbacks and failures, it is definitely disappointing and it leads to certain kind of emotional turmoil. So if we are able to gather ourselves in that situation, we are learning the skill of emotional regulation. When we are believing in ourselves that yes, maybe right now I have not achieved it, but I can definitely achieve it. So that believe in self ability, own ability, it is nothing but self efficacy. Not giving up when faced with failures and setbacks, that will nurture resilience. And a person who has gone through a journey, a difficult journey of obstacles and difficulties and mistakes, will definitely be very have the quality of humility, because the person would know what it takes to reach there. The flexibility, as you also said, sir, that we need to think about the strategies required. If this has not worked, then something else would work. So that kind of flexible approach, the flexibility would come. It, the failure can teach flexibility. We would learn innovation. We would be creative in our approaches when we are making different plans. Yeah, when we are trying to figure out if this is not the thing which is working, then something else is would work. So we are nurturing creativity and innovation that way. Motivation is one thing which, in the when the journey becomes long, the motivation is not external, it then becomes autonomous or intrinsic. So that is also nurtured through failures. Reflection, when we need to stop somewhere to actually think, if this is not working, that what would work, what am I doing wrong, how can I overcome this challenge. So I'm actually reflecting. So this is also a very, very important lesson of failure can teach us. Then in the inner peace, as I mentioned while discussing about hedonic adaptation, that ultimately the outer circumstances, the noise outside will not have much significance when we are pursuing certain journey. And when we are faced with failures, it will ultimately lead to reflection, ultimately lead to inner motivation and inner peace. So there are certain, yes, I was talking about this, reframing the phrases or the language we use while faced with difficulties. So the self talk that we do, if we try to change it, so it will help us in changing and developing, changing our mindset and developing growth mindset. I am not good at this, so if I try thinking what am I missing, I give up when faced with difficulty. If I say to myself that I'll use a different strategy, it is not good enough. My skill, my effort is not good enough. So if I try to change it, uh, I mean, if I want to reframe it, I may say, is this really my best work? I can't make this any better. I can always improve. That is nurturing growth mindset. It is too hard. The people who have fixed mindset, when faced with difficulty, they would try to assess whether I can do it or not, is it difficult or not. They would not take up challenge because they fear failures. The people who are having growth mindset, they will see that it is difficult right now, it may take some time, I will learn how to do it. I made a mistake, the person will try to blame others, the person will not accept the mistake if the person has fixed mindset. But the people who have growth mindset, they would take it as a opportunity to learn, that mistakes are helping me to learn. So this is how we can reframe our language to develop a growth mindset. As I mentioned earlier, narrating good, inspiring stories. It is not only helpful for the children; it is also helpful for us. Also, we should look around to find inspiration. I think you must have heard about this first story, the elephant rope, and I would like to talk about the KFC. The person who's the founder and who has done this KFC thing, Colonel Harlan Sanders. He was a dropout of, he has not completed his education. He has studied till seventh class only, and even seventh class he has not completed. He dropped out. Then he, at the age, he tried many things, many businesses, and he failed. And at the age of 40, he decided that, okay, now I want to work in this field of food business. So then he tried to, for, getting that copyright of that, but some particular recipe, um, of KFC, which is very, very famous. It was about 1010 or 1011 attempts he made to make it a copyright. So, what kind of mindset he would have had? And he would have accepted failures how many times? So, perseverance through failures can take us long way. There are few quotations here. Love challenges because challenges can teach us a lot. Be intrigued by mistakes. Think a lot. What mistakes are trying to teach me? Enjoy the effort. Persistent efforts. Motivation can go up and down, but the effort should be persistent and keep on learning. Never give up. It is not how good you are, it is how good you want to be. Just because you haven't found your talent yet doesn't mean you don't have one. So have a growth mindset. Nurturing growth mindset can take us long way. That's all from my side. Thank you.
Ma'am, I just wanted to clarify one thing that instead of the word failure, don't you think the word warrior is better because everyone is fighting their own battles and I don't think anyone is a failure because if you don't get, if in one direction things are not working out and the person changes the direction, maybe the other side it becomes really, it's good for that person and it may be a blessing because I've heard this Shakespeare story. He was trying to do MA in English and he could not complete it. And his mother said that, son, I cannot afford it. Now it's better you leave it. He failed multiple times. And but now to clear MA English, his books have to be read. And if you clear that subject, you get that English MA degree. So sometimes the failures are also blessings. Like it's a sort of it's not failure, it's that direction. Whatever, I think whatever happens is good. Whatever happens, we just have to keep trying. That's what I mean.
I agree to you, ma'am, and thank you for your inputs about those inspiring stories. And when I began this session, I think I started with this note only, that labeling as a failure is very, very bad thing. It's a very unpleasant experience a person can have. So this labeling of being a failure is, it's not a good thing to experience. Warrior is a good way to take it. We call people who succeed after many setbacks as warriors, but initially, a society, the culture, it, and forget about the outsiders. Family members only start questioning why you are persisting for so long, why you are at this thing, why don't you do something else? So yes, there has to be a change of perspective.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, ma'am. Ma'am, it's an excellent presentation, but one or two observations from my side too. Quoting the former president, late Dr. Abdul Kalam, who told many students that do not follow the success stories, follow the stories of failures.
Yes.
Because if you follow the stories of failures, you have many things to learn. But in this particular context, I am of the opinion that the parents and teachers have a great role to play, because mental toughness is something which you don't acquire overnight. Mental toughness has to be taught, has to be created right from the childhood. See, the scenario in which we are living, most parents would like to live their lives through their children. They give three options to their children: be an engineer, or be a doctor, or be a failure. Yeah, this is the kind of scenario in which the children are being brought up. So when it comes to a question of see, as Madam Jyoti had said just some time back, failure is a relative term. If
It's
I
a
don't
relative.
become an engineer or if you don't become a doctor, I am not a failure. I have so many options for me to exercise. If academic excellence is the only goal, we would not have had so many Dhonis, so many Tendulkars or Virat Kohlis.